Mm. Mm. Welcome to Cousins Corner with AJ, J.O. Burns, and Cousin Curtis, also known as the Cousins.
Hey.
All right.
Yes, indeed. So, the Cousins Corner will cover a wide range of topics from social events, politics, to faith. This week on Cousins Corner, should couples of different races raise children of different races? In other words, should white folks be adopting Black kids and raising them? Also, should the parents of the Michigan school, I can't even say it, school shooter be charged with a crime? How far should the responsibility go when you are a parent of a child who takes somebody else's life? The 2020 vision is still alive, seeing through 2021. Welcome, cousins, to Cousin Corner. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
All right. Welcome.
I'm doing pretty good. I'm hanging in there. Good to see y'all, cousins.
You too, always.
It was a bumpy introduction, but we're back on Cousins Corner. Love having y'all on here. I really appreciate you guys' time. And so I always start off with Cousin AJ and ask your opinion first, but Cousin J.O. Burns. So what do you think, man? Should white parents be adopting these Black children and trying to raise them? Do you find any issue with that?
Well, my thing with that is it's going to be a problem, but these kids need to be adopted. You understand? And if the white folks want to take on the job and they're going to do the job, they need love, man. They need someone to care for them than to leave them in the system if you got somebody that will adopt them. So I'm not going to, I'm not going to go against that. But if there's a choice, I would try to have the same people, the same cultures, adopt the same cultures, because they understand, each other a little better. But
interesting.
Love is love, brother. Love is love.
Love is love. Same culture, but then we have, people who are Blackish. I know a couple of people that have cousins that I consider Blackish. And so would they be appropriate in raising a Black children as a Black child when they may not believe in all the Black things?
What is Blackish?
Oh, no, I was going to ask you.
What is Blackish? I think if you have a white person that's willing to adopt a Black child, then you have a white person that's, at least trying to understand the culture.
Yes, sir.
and care about the culture, because there are white people that fight our causes. Through the centuries, there's white folks that have died for our causes. You understand?
Black folks too.
Yeah, well, I know that, but I'm just saying. So, get the kids adopted. That's what, get them adopted.
Get them adopted, no matter what.
Yeah, no matter the culture, but that's just like if we get into the homosexual thing, I'm gonna have a problem with two daddies adopting and two mommies adopting. I'll have a problem. But that's a whole nother topic.
I'll let you know why, but Cousin AJ, what do you think about the white folks picking up these Black children and raising them, adopting Black children?
I agree with Cousin. I think that you got to get the kids adopted. They need love. But I do think there should be some type of class or some kind of training. And that's not to say that Black people need train. You need to be trained to raise Black kids. But you see white families that have adopted little Black girls, and the hair is a mess. It's dry. It's not combed. They don't know what to do with it. You see, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I see it all the time. And you just want to go up to them and say, she needs grease, oil, whatever. But there's certain things that, we're two different cultures. So I think there should be some kind of understanding on how those kids should be raised, because they're not going to be treated as if they were white. And they need to know that.
But does it matter what color you are? I'm sorry, does it matter what color you are?
Does it matter? Of course. I don't prescribe to the concept that we see no color. That always scares me when a person says they see no color, because you don't see me. So there is a difference, whether you want to talk about it or not. There's a difference.
But would we be better off if there were no colors, if everybody not saw color?
Yeah, but it's too late for that. I mean, that's never going to be. This is the way it is. And for that matter, white biological parents that raise biracial kids, they need help also. Doesn't necessarily have to be the adopted ones. And some of the white parents reach out. Some think they got the answers and don't think that it matters. But there is a difference between black and white, obviously.
There is a difference. I was watching, of course, who's not on TikTok nowadays, right? Can we mention that? That there was a light-skinned black lady who talked about the issues she had being raised by white parents, because just like you all said, they didn't understand the culture. So they thought, I guess the people who raised her was saying, hey, we don't see color, but yet they weren't with that child every day going out into the world and dealing with what they were dealing with because of the color of their skin.
Yeah. You can't raise a black child with the concept of I don't see color, or the world is colorblind, because it's not true. You're going to be more likely followed when you walk in the store, and you need to understand why. You're going to be more likely pulled over by the police, and you need to understand why. Especially a black boy, you need to understand the differences. They're going to underestimate you, and you need to understand why. You got to work twice as hard, twice as much to get the same thing as our white counterparts, and you need to understand why. And you need to understand that just because your parents are white does not mean they'll give you that world. You may grow up in that household, but you're not going to grow up in a white world that will accept you as being white.
But isn't it easier for, I'm sorry, go ahead, Cousin Jeff.
No, I'm just saying, I agree. The minute you step out that house, the world changes for you.
Exactly.
So these white parents could have you disillusioned and make you feel like, one way, but reality gonna hit you, because that white cop ain't gonna see a white kid.
Or know that you have white parents.
Yes. Now, once you get arrested and then come down with your expensive lawyer and your white parents, then they'll know.
Okay.
No.
That's after the fact.
After the fact. But the bottom line, like I said, is they need to be adopted. But
so there should be a bumper sticker that says, "My parents are white."
They should walk around with their white privilege card.
At the very least, there should be some type of class on what to expect and how to introduce your child into their own culture. There should be something there, and I think some white parents do that, but for the most part, I don't think they do. And again, I have all my nieces and nephews are biracial, and and they're confused. They're gorgeous. They're just confused young people.
Very interesting. So they're being raised by.
Well, my brother is. Yeah, my brother had 6 of them, so he raised a few of them. He raised them himself, but they go to their mom. It's different rules, it's different food, it's different outlook. It's different. But they're black. They look black, especially they look Hispanic. Some of them, but but they don't look, they don't look like they're white, put it like that.
Okay, you get, okay. Interesting. Is it, you think it's any different though, being up north, you know, Atlanta side, California side? You don't think there's any kind of difference in being how people are treated because the color of skin? Aren't people in California a lot more nicer than people in New York?
The people in New York,
And are they a lot more lenient when it comes to color and mix? Say, like for instance, Jacksonville. There's a lot of mixed couples, a lot of mixed babies, children, or people in, say, the Jacksonville, Florida area. So they may be a little more lenient when it comes to looking at people of color.
Well, always remember what kind of state Florida is, and Rosewood happened in Florida. So you could feel they're a little more lenient. That core group there still see, you know, Black when it comes to the authority. You understand? So yeah, you might have people more lenient because a lot of them are interracially getting married. Those people lenient with each other. But the popo and the, you know, the politics, you know, that's Republican Trump territory, okay?
yeah.
No, Proud Boys.
I think I wouldn't say that California is more what was the word you used? You used lenient?
Yeah, are they more lenient, or do they go easier on people of color? More relaxed, more acceptable?
Well, do you know which state has the most hate groups out of the 50 United States?
Georgia?
You would think the South. What'd you say, cousin?
No, I'm asking, do you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's California. It's California. Yeah. So
what have the most hate crimes against people of Black people or Asians?
I don't know with the recent rise in Asian hate crime, but you know, I married a man that was half Japanese and half Black. So, you know, hate groups, you know, hate is hate. I mean, you know, we have more hate groups in California than anywhere else.
Oh, more hate groups.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say it's more lenient. I mean, you know, I think the difference is that it's more bold in the southern states. It's more hidden.
Hidden in the Democratic states.
It's more hidden, you know. You might find a old video, or you might find some old tape recordings of, you know, somebody said the N-word or somebody that or whatever. But I think in the southern states, they're bold, which I can appreciate it. I want to know if you don't like Black folks.
Yeah, I want to know too.
Yeah.
You straight up with me and let me know that you don't like me.
I mean, and then that way we know where each other, yeah, we know.
Exactly. And I think we could deal with each other even more, you know, on a better level than,
right.
You know,
than not knowing, you know.
We may not like each other, but we can still accomplish something together.
Exactly. But you know, I mean, with that said, I just think like cousin said, I think that these kids need to be adopted. I just think that you know, when white parents take on a Black child and they say, you know, we don't see color, that's very dangerous and scary for that child. So, you know, that's my take. But if the Black parents are not adopting these kids, then what's going to happen? I mean, you know, are they better off in the system than in a loving home with, you know, whether they're, you know, white, Black, blue, whatever, or gay, even though cousin disagrees with that. That would be my least preference, but what are you gonna do?
Gay people are people too, cousin.
No, they might be people too, but you gotta understand where I come from with that. It's what's most important. You know that scripture that says, "What profits a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul?" So when you got these gay parents adopting these kids, they are programming those kids to feel like that lifestyle is okay. And I know somebody personally who's a product of that type of situation.
Mhm.
And they admit to me, they're grown now, they're 60 years old, and they admit to me it screwed them up.
Well,
You know,
that's isolated. That might be an isolated situation. But while I lived in New York, my gay uncle, who was also your cousin, helped my mother raise her 4 kids. And I did not know that he was gay until I was an adult.
Mm.
Taught me how to brush my teeth, taught me how to tie my shoe, walked me to school, helped me with my homework. And I was grown, about to be married, when I found out that he was gay.
Oh, is that a cousin on you?
Key word there, he
Your
helped
side.
he helped your mother, but he wasn't your mother. Do you see what I'm saying?
Of course. No,
So
but
then
my
he
point,
wasn't, he was just a helper. He wasn't twisting you. But if you sitting there watching, you a boy child or a girl child, really, watching 2 men kissing and loving each other, holding each other every day, calling each other honey, and one husband and one wife, calling each other all of that, that's going to mix you up. And
well, I agree. It may be confusing. It may be confusing, but I don't think that is a deliberate, as you say, program a kid, because I think if you're gay, you're gay. Just because your parents are gay doesn't necessarily make you gay.
nah, you influenced by your parents. Trust me, you're influenced by your parents. And though it won't fall, everybody won't fall to that pendulum, but it'll desensitizes you to that, and you will be leaning in that area.
You'll find it acceptable.
And when it comes to salvation, which is to me the most important thing, all right, it's gonna screw you up.
So what you see every day is what you covet.
Yeah, or what
into
gets
that?
into your heart, what seeps
Right.
into your thinking pattern, and then you pass that on. You pass it forward.
Not
So-
necessarily.
No, in some kind of way you do, because my friend that I'm talking about, he married a woman, right? It was his dad, his biological dad left his mama and married her brother.
Mm.
And they raised him.
He kept it in the family.
And when you listen to him talk, it's a lot of areas that he is desensitized in, even though he didn't turn out gay, so to speak.
Yeah, because the fact that your dad married your uncle is enough right there to mess you up. I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Is it possible that he was just born that way?
I think so, but I think that we're getting off the track with the adoption
true.
part.
Right.
Then you need to be born again. That's my answer to if you was born that way, because I was born a womanizer. As soon as I got old enough, I ran them women just like my daddy, just like his daddy, just like my granddaddy. But guess what? I had to be born again to walk away from that type of, programming that I saw.
Mm.
What about you,
Yeah.
cousin? Do you think that if the Black kids are better off in a foster care system or in a group home setting as opposed to being raised by white parents?
Cousin as in Cousin Curtis?
Cousin Curtis.
No, I do not think children are better off in group homes than being raised by a parent that's not their race.
And I agree.
But I also think
Oh,
that I don't think parents who don't understand, and like you said, don't get the training and don't have that understanding. There has to be a lot more conversation. I think it's more important for the people who's going to do the adopting to be filtered and questioned a whole lot more on their ideologies. and their beliefs and how they're going to raise his child, instead of just saying, hey, I have the money to do it, so I can do it. Nobody else wants to do it. But yet, we don't know what they're going to be raising or what type of person they're going to raise. So now you may raise somebody who may be so messed up in the head that now they're in the system and tax dollars to that. So we don't know how often that happens. So now you have somebody who, who don't like their race. Was that the intention?
I agree. Is it Black Lives Matter or is it all lives matter?
Black Lives Matter. When,
Right,
when
but I mean,
you're
that's
talking
the
about
question.
Black lives, when you're talking about murder, but
That's
all
the question.
lives on the planet Earth do matter.
But I mean, that would be a question that I would ask the adoptive parents.
Mm. All right.
I would ask them why they choose, with all the white kids needing to be adopted, why are you choosing Black kids?
Because
That's
statistically, there are way more Black kids that need a home than white kids.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why.
And I feel like I guess they feel like they're doing their part.
Right. And I can respect that. But you just need to get some training on how to comb her hair and what we need to develop into a healthy Black man or woman. Because, this cousin said, once we leave your house, we may be no colorblind inside, but the world is not.
Very interesting.
I think we should go to the next topic.
I was going to say, the next up on Cousins Corner, the parents of the 15-year-old accused of killing 4 classmates failed to act on troubling signs. And, the parents pleaded not guilty to involuntary manslaughter. Should the parents be held responsible for this 15-year-old's actions? At what point do parents, the responsibility of the parents, they should no longer be accountable for their children's actions? Cousin AJ, what do you think?
Oh, this burns me. And it's probably not a popular opinion, unfortunately, but I think absolutely they should be held accountable. They should be held on the same charge. I don't think it should be any less. I think that if these kids continue to shoot up these schools while they're under the parents' household, the parents should be held responsible.
Well, you 15-year-old, do we, other than cousin J.O. Burns, do we know what all of our children are doing at all the time when they're in the house?
Well,
Do we really know?
I did. That would have been an impossibility for, my son to have any kind of firearm for any length of time and I not know. It just would have been impossible. I went through his room, I went through his phone, I went through his drawer. It's my house, you live here, you are a guest until you're old enough to take care of yourself. So with no qualms, because he already knew. So it would not have gone down.
Not like that for you in your household.
You talking to me now?
Cousin AJ. It would not have went down like that for you in your household.
Not at all.
Because of the monitoring.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because
you know what? I look at it like this. I tell my son, I used to tell my son certain things like, it's my job and my responsibility to keep you alive. And that's what I need to do. And then when I get older, then the roles will change. Your job and responsibility is to keep me alive until it's time for me to go. But while you are in my house, my job is to keep you alive. And if I feel that there's something that you want to do that's a danger to you, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Let me add another twist to this before I ask you, Cousin Burns, your opinion. The gun was an early Christmas gift from his parents, a semi-automatic 9mm 6-hour. It was an early Christmas present.
Exactly.
Now, not only did they know this kid had issues, did you see his social media? Not only that, not only did they have an idea because they told the kid don't do it when he was on the way to do it, Do what? Don't do what?
Mhm.
Don't do it. They bought him the weapon as an early Christmas gift.
Yeah. And they were called to the school when the teacher discovered his doodling, and they called the parents to the office, and they refused to take him home. So they bear responsibility, the school bears responsibility. And I just feel like, you know, if my son, who just turned 27, he's a grown man, takes care of himself, he's been gone since college, he's been out of the house for 10 years now. If he decided to turn into a killing spree or whatever, I would still look at that and wonder where did I go wrong?
So true.
What did I do? What didn't I do? I
So
mean,
true.
you know, the fact that this boy is in his parents' house still, and they provided the weapon, they're responsible. I think it's plain and simple. I think they pleaded guilty because they're supposed to.
I thought they pleaded not guilty.
I mean, I'm sorry, not guilty because they're expected to, so they can have a defense. You know.
Interesting. J.L. Burns.
Well,
Did this
first
happen in
of
your
all,
household?
I agree and disagree with my cousin, AJ, because I agree that these parents need to be held accountable. But if my son was to do that, I did everything I know to do to raise him right, okay? If he was to do that, it'd be done without my permission, it'd be done without my help, you understand? And without my knowledge. So you can't hold me accountable for that because you can't control individuals, and mental illness can hit your kids and you not be mentally ill. All right. And crazy can hit and demons can possess people. So you can't hold me accountable. You can't hold every parent accountable. But a lot of times these kids are doing it because of how they were brought up. Now, these parents, they knew their kid was a lunatic, all right? They bought the gun. Well, why are you gonna buy a 15-year-old that type of gun anyway? You're an idiot for buying a 15-year-old a gun like that, okay? And so they pride themselves in their guns, but yet that's the same thing with my son. My son has me taking him out to drive every day to learn how to drive, right? But I tell my wife, he's not ready for a car. I don't really want to get his license now. He's 16, going to 17. He needs to show me more maturity before I buy him a car, because that's giving a kid a loaded weapon and go out there to kill somebody. You see what I'm saying? These parents were irresponsible. They were idiots. And then when they went to the school, brought to the school, and they were told that their child is exemplifying some more crazy stuff, and they know he has the gun, yeah, they need to go down, down, down. Okay?
I agree on that.
They killed those kids.
Yeah.
Being idiots.
They should be
parent.
charged with the same crime. I totally agree. I want to go back to what you just said. I consider being a parent as a true blessing. And I know that we are individuals and we have our own lives and all that. But when you have a child, you have basically given up your life. As a mother, as a father, you have basically given up your life. It was important to me because my husband and I separated when my son was 5. So, and I don't want to say I was a single parent because he's very much involved, and we have a beautiful co-parent relationship. But it was important for me. Every night we sat down at the table, we ate dinner. I cooked. He hated to go out to dinner. So I cooked. People were like, you cook? Yeah, I cooked every night. We said no TV, no cell phone. When we go to dinner today, there's no TV and no cell phone. Because I have to look into his face and his eyes, and I need to know what's going on. There's no way that he would have been able to look different, smell different, sound different, and I not know about it. This is on a nightly basis. He didn't spend the night over anybody's house. If it wasn't a family member, don't even ask me, can you spend that over anybody's house?
You only had one child. Remember that.
Exactly. And I could do that. You know what I mean? Because I only had one child. So I wanted to make sure that he had the very best of everything that I could afford. And that included tutors and private school and every sport that I could possibly think of. And, my girlfriends used to say, let the boy rest. Let him rest. I'm like, no, he's 11, 12, 13. He can rest when he's grown. And I'm glad I did that. I kept him busy. He stayed in sports. I never missed a track meet. I never missed a basketball game. And his dad didn't either. He went to camp. I went with him. So they had Michael Jordan camp in Santa Barbara for a week. I went with him. That was just our regular thing. And he's very busy today. And I think that him being busy all the time has been able, that's why he's able to maintain his schedule, his work schedule, 6 days a week. He has a class that he takes. He's, wants to be an actor, and he's constantly on the move. And I think that attributed to that. I don't understand the parents that they have to go. I know you have to work. And then when they're not working, then they got to go out, or they're on the phone or whatever. I didn't do that. I didn't talk on the phone in front of my son because I didn't want him in my business, for one. And if I dated, it was when he was at his dad's house for the weekend. So I shielded him from that. And I think that, that was what I thought was best. That's what worked for me. And I feel like you either pay now or you're going to pay later. And I wasn't trying to pay later for a grown adult. But I would think that if he were to turn crazy, did I not hug him enough? I don't know. I have friends that they went on vacation, single friends, and their son stayed with us while they go on vacation with their boyfriends. I never did that. My son and I took 2 vacations every year together, forever. We did that. So I was grown probably 4 years ago before I took a vacation without him, because God trusted me with this one kid, and I want to make sure I didn't screw it up.
And I'm gonna say this: if you had 5 of them,
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't be able to keep up like that.
And that's why I wouldn't.
And you had to work. You understand? My mother had 5 of them.
Yeah, okay. but see, that's responsibility. That's why I wouldn't, because kids deserve that much attention. They require that much attention, and you can't have 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Something's gonna get missed. Something's gonna get missed.
But a lot of these households do. They have a gang of them, and I say this: if they did their best, all right,
that's
you can't hold them. If their teenager go out there and kill somebody and they didn't raise a killer, because like I said, some of these parents are raising killers. They're raising lunatics. But if they did their best and the kid still turned out to be a lunatic, you can't hold that person responsible. If you didn't put the loaded gun in their hand, you can't hold them, because all these parents will be going to jail. Okay, I'm saying, in our community.
Then maybe that's what needs to happen, because you can. Because while you're going out to the club, maybe you should take that time and spend it with that kid for an extra hour.
But some of them are not going to the club. Some of them are trying to pay the rent, working.
And I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about them.
No, we are talking about all of them. And what I'm saying is, here's another problem. Like my son, there's some things I want to bash him in his head for doing, right? But if I did it, they'll come and arrest me.
Yeah, they will.
Okay? And then they'll bash him in the head and throw him in jail. You get what I'm saying? Because that's what they want to do. That's how it's fixed for us. We parents can't do our job like back in the days parents could, because nowadays children's protective service will be at your house in a minute, stopping you from doing your job. So then you want to lock the parents up when the kid does do something, because I see that a lot. I was talking to a dude recently. His daughter got him arrested because he took her cell phone and saw that she was sending nude pictures to a grown man. And when he confronted her on it, she went off and everything else, and then called the cops and said he hit her. and his butt went to jail and picked up a case for trying to stop his daughter from being molested by a grown man. You understand what I'm saying?
Where was she living after that?
Wouldn't it have been easier for him to sit down with his daughter prior to that time, or every day for 10 minutes to find out what's going on in her world? And that would have been a lot easier.
Here's the thing.
Let me say this. Let me say this. That would have been a lot easier, a lot less traumatic to have a 5-10 minute conversation about what's going on with you. You got any boyfriends? You whatever. You build that relationship from jump.
It seemed like he did have that relationship, but these kids can get caught up and do stuff. Because my other friend, the same thing with his 12-year-old daughter. The security guard at the school started having conversations with his 12-year-old daughter, and he only found out stumbling across her phone. You understand what I'm saying? And then he did something about it. And he's a father that was constantly there for his daughter. But stuff will sneak up on you.
Yeah, and he handled it.
He handled it.
And that's like you took Jeffrey out in the parking lot. Instead of just going out and buying him a car because he turned 16, you already know he can't handle it. But do you know how many fathers are taking their sons out in the parking lot, teaching them how to drive? You could probably count on one hand.
I think a lot, but maybe not.
No, I mean, I take them every other morning.
Every other morning.
Yeah.
Not only do you take them every other morning, you take them to school every day. So that's your opportunity right there to talk to him. You ain't on your cell phone. He ain't on his cell phone. You talking to him. You drilling him. You whatever. So that's the stuff that parents now don't take the time to do.
But cousins, let's take it back a little further. When these children are 2 years old, 3, 4, when they're developing personalities, I think you really got to start parenting way back when these children start listening to you, instead of trying to wait till they get 15 and start parenting, and then worrying about why are they talking back. Well, maybe it's the way that you didn't pay attention to them or allowed them all that freedom, or the way you treated them and talked to them at that age. And they picked up these personalities, and they developed these personalities at 3 years old. And so maybe you did start this child off to be a monster, or you try to start this child off.
Maybe. It ain't no maybe. It's no maybe. You did. God gave you these kids to raise. And when you have kids, your life is no longer your own. Now you could easily put Jeffrey, he can take the bus, you can put him in a cab, he can ride with his cousin, friend, brother, sister, friend down the street, but you take him to school yourself.
Right.
That's totally different. Parents don't do that anymore. They put them on the bus, they're taking the bus, they whatever.
But some have to, because they have to work.
And I'm not saying that. So you have to make it up in other ways. When you're too tired because you work 10 hours, maybe you can't take a nap. Maybe you need to just spend 15 minutes with your kid to find out what's going on. And instead of everybody eating in their own room and in their own space, maybe you need to sit at the table every night and look in his face and see, are his eyes red? Are they getting high? What's going on in your world? Let me see your phone. Who are you talking to?
No, that's very important.
That's parents. That's just being a parent.
Dinner together, that's very important.
That's what I did. That's what I did. I need to know what's going on. You got any girlfriend? And my son was the kind of kid that told you everything, stuff you didn't want to know. It's like, okay, I don't really want to know all that, you know? So, and that was because the trust was built early on, and I didn't react to something that was like, you know, oh my God, I can't believe it. I was like, really? Now, maybe in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my God, how am I gonna, deal with this? But, it's communication. And thank God we have that same relationship to this day. But it starts from the womb.
I still say that you can do everything right, and they get caught up in bad situations and can do some bad stuff. Especially like, let's take somebody being bullied. A lot of times their kid might not come home and let his parent know he's being bullied or she's being bullied.
I don't know how you not know when your kid, when a kid is being bullied, they are withdrawn.
They're
And how
withdrawn.
do
You could tell.
How do you not know your kid is being bullied?
If
And
they're-
you can't see your kid over there in the corner withdrawn. How do
If
you
they're-
not see that?
if they're
And
coming to-
that's why I put it back on the parents. So yeah, they may do everything they can within what they know,
right? Within they
and it
know.
still don't turn out right. But that doesn't mean that it's not your fault.
And how were the parents raised?
Yeah, it
That's
just
another
makes
thing.
that,
If
but
they,
doesn't
if the parents wasn't raised right, then how do they know to raise anybody? right?
exactly. But that doesn't mean that it does. Just because you didn't know does not remove you from the fact that you messed up.
So you saying all these kids that have done these bad things, their parents should be right there in jail with them.
Especially the ones that shoot up the schools. 100% absolutely. One of the kids had a whole arsenal in his bedroom. Was that Columbine? Sandy Hook had a whole arsenal. How do you have an arsenal in your bedroom and you don't know? You not know this?
Well, when you're calling your parents by their first name and tell them to shut up and get out your room.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, no, God gave you these
So
kids.
that's why you have more white kids shooting up schools than blacks. Because you ain't gonna tell me to shut up and get out your room.
Not without losing a couple teeth.
Not mine.
Shut up, Sharon. I hate you.
Yeah.
Slam the door.
What are you doing in my room? Get out of here. You've invaded my privacy. What?
Be like,
Never.
Negro, I pay the bills.
I hate
Exactly.
you. Well, come down and eat dinner.
Yeah. No. I do.
Door,
To answer
Sharon.
the question. Yeah. I do. And I do know that it's harder with larger families, but you know, it doesn't recuse you from that. It doesn't make it right. Just because you don't have enough time, or you have too many kids, or you got to work, or whatever, you gotta make it happen.
Somebody
Does
can
not-
be easier.
doesn't mean-
Somebody can be easier with larger families because there's always one child who's willing to talk
To
and
tell.
say and tell. Exactly.
Well, my mother, how she got over is because I was the oldest son, and I parent all of them. You know what I'm saying? She didn't keep up with them. I kept up with their butts. You
And
know
the
what I'm
same,
saying?
and you know what? The same thing in my house. I wasn't the oldest. I have an older brother, but I was put in charge. So it was important to me that, you know, I just wanted to make sure I didn't raise a jailbird or an unproductive citizen. So I worked very hard.
Cousin J.L. Burns, not to get too deep or say too much, but you must have did a good job because all your siblings turned out to be pretty great. So
Yeah, well, you don't know the backstories. You don't know the backstories to all my siblings.
I see the front stories.
Look, the grace of God,
Yes, sir.
by the grace of God. Each one got a story to tell.
I can imagine.
Every last one of them.
So that
Including
brings up the next thing. CNN fires Cuomo. Cousin J.L. Burns, did you have anything to do with this?
Listen, I'm mad about that situation because now here you got women saying he molested them now. 16 years ago, he groped me. See, and then they did it to the governor, right? And now he helps his brother.
Well,
You get what I'm saying?
Well,
And
how?
who wouldn't use their influence to help their brother? You understand?
That's the question. I mean, what he did was not illegal,
No.
but it was against their policy. But I mean, then you have to consider: is it a moral? Is it a moral move to help my brother to spare my job, or what happened? We lost him.
He tripped over the cable.
But that's the question.
I think somebody's knocking at his door.
No, he's off.
Yeah, he turned off his camera. He might
I
have his
think
microphone on.
probably something died, but that's the question. Do you help your brother and at the risk of losing your job? I don't think he thought he would lose his job when he did it.
Or maybe he felt like he just didn't care.
No, I mean, I've been watching him for a long time. I think he cared. I just don't think he thought he was going to lose his job and didn't think that. I mean, he's a lawyer, so there you go.
Yeah, I hit the wrong button or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I figured something happened there.
But what I'm saying is this: you can't knock the man for trying to help his brother.
Right. That's his
Okay.
brother.
And then, so now you're going to fire him for something you would have done for your brother, right? And then not only that, now you're bringing up cases on him from 16 years ago. And I told you I get mad about that. All of a sudden, a woman coming out the woodwork, he groped me 16 years ago. He ain't the governor. He wasn't the governor when he groped you 16 years ago. Why didn't you say something then? But now you want to say something and jump into this, this whole thing so you can get some fame. Because I'm mad about that. Because if he's been a molester and a groper, y'all was supposed to expose him way before CNN ever picked him up.
Sometimes it's not easy for people to come out and talk about these.
That's what we keep saying, but I'm getting tired of all of a sudden, 30 years now, you coming up with something at a time that everybody else is, like the target was his brother, and now you targeting him because he helped his brother. You get where I'm coming from? I don't believe the story on him. I might believe it on his brother, but I don't believe stories on him. I believe this is convenient.
It's convenient, or they're making this up. They finding people just to come on and say something happened that didn't happen.
Because they can get funny. They can get money and they can get fame. I really believe. Come on. And how you gonna prove he groped you? That's like me. I remember in high school, I accidentally, we were playing, and I accidentally, touched a young lady by accident, and it was an accident. Now and then I get famous now, and then she comes, oh yeah, I remember back in 1984, he touched me, and I remember it being an accident. It was an accident. We were doing some athletic thing, and my hand slipped, and her leg came right down on my arm, right between her legs. And I was like, whoa, it was an accident. But I'm just saying, this is stuff that they're doing. They're coming back now saying, yeah, now he groped me 16 years ago. I'm angry about that, man. Because it's like, yo, I understand people, oh yeah, they couldn't tell. It took 16 years for them to get the courage to tell. I mean, come on, man. About a grope. I can see if it was a rape. I can see if it was a straight up, he put his hands and ripped my panties off. But he groped me. He touched my butt. I mean, you feel where I'm coming from? All of a sudden. And I'm angry about that. I'm angry that CNN fired him for something that anybody would have done to help their brother. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with you on that. I mean, I don't agree with you 100% on the people coming forward, because I think it takes great courage for these women to come forward. And sometimes with time, and now that, it's just like, just to use an example, it's just like being gay. Before, there was a time when being gay was such a crime and was so taboo, no one would talk about it. And now, in the last 10 years, it's the in thing to be gay and colorful, and got these shows and commercials and men kissing men and women, and they can get married, and now they're more liberated. So when one person comes out, then another person comes out, that encourages them. But that part, that's a whole nother conversation. I do agree with you that I think anybody would do what they could do to help their sibling in a case, especially in a high profile case like that, to help their sibling. You know, he used his connections to find out about the women that were accusing him, accusing the governor of the acts that he was being accused of. So, and it wasn't illegal. I don't know where
He's
the
using work resources for that.
yeah, but that violated CNN's policy.
Let me tell you something. CNN was looking for a reason.
It seems
Okay.
like it does seem like
Once the political powers that be turned on his brother, they want to make sure that the younger brother don't gain political momentum to be able to take his place. So they want to crush him before he could even get started.
But do you think that was a question for him to run for government office?
No, he wasn't going to probably run for governor this time, but he was going to use that Cuomo name and start making his rounds, and they want to make sure he does it. So they crush him.
Regulation is about to spend not as quick.
They tired of the Cuomos. They want to make sure he don't step up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what all that's about, man. And now they want to make him out to be what they made his brother out to be a womanizer and all this and all that. But all these years he wasn't that, but all of a sudden he's that now.
So are you accusing the Republicans of doing something? Is this a political?
Oh, I believe it is.
I
Yeah,
think
I
it's
believe
all
it is.
political.
I believe it is.
Interesting.
They are going to crush those Cuomos. They're tired of the Cuomos. You know what I'm saying? They're going to make sure that they don't go no further.
But New York is not tired of the Cuomos.
I'm saying
They love him.
these other Democrats, it ain't even the Republicans. These other Democrats, they want time to shine now. So they got to get them out the way.
Well, cousins, I want to thank you all for hopping on tonight. Thank you very much for hopping on. Again, I apologize for the mistake on the time that I sent, but I want to thank you guys for being so loving and still taking the time out of your busy schedules to be part of Cousins Corner. Next week on Cousins Corner, the Epstein's house manager says that everybody was told, all the help was told to hear nothing, to see nothing, and to know nothing. What does all of that mean? How deep does that rabbit hole go? And do you want to go down it? Next week on Cousins Corner. Any final closing comments, Cousin AJ?
Nope, just if you're not vaccinated, get vaccinated. If you believe in vaccination, wear your mask, social distance, and stay safe.
Interesting. Cousin J.O. Burns.
Wear
How
your
you feel
mask.
about that? Any closing
Wear
comments?
your mask, and you ain't gonna make me take no shot.
Wear your mask.
Oh my, I say get vaccinated. Whether you believe in it or not, it's not about you anymore. It's about us. And they already got your DNA.
I can't stand y'all. It's about me. I ain't getting vaccinated.
It's always about you.
It's always about Cousin J.O. Burns.
That's right.
the beauty.
I'm not getting vaccinated. Sorry.
So we want to thank you once again for being on Cousins Corner. It was a lovely evening. Thanks again. Next week, same bat time, same Cousin Corner channel. What is it? 6 p.m. Pacific time,
Pacific Standard
8
Time.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You heard it here from
No.
9 p.m.
9 p.m.
9
Eastern
p.m.
Standard. Yes.
9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific time.
All right.
All right.
Thank you very much
Sleep
for
well.
everybody for tuning in. Again, this is Cousins Corner.